Okay, Pam, or whatever.
Yeah, no, so talk to the next page.
At this time, we'll call to order the City of Shamokin Council meeting, May 8, 2023. Would you please rise for the pledge to the flag and remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Okay, Mr. Swayze, will you conduct roll call, please?
Councilman Milbrand.
Here.
Councilwoman Lashinsky.
Here.
Councilwoman Moyer.
Here.
Councilwoman Ennis.
Here.
Mayor Ulrich.
Here.
All present and accounted for.
Okay. Do we have any presentation?
No, sir. No, sir.
Acknowledgements,
No, sir.
bids,
No, sir.
correspondence.
Yes, sir. Let's see. Okay, since our meeting the other evening, which would have been the workshop session, I have received today, which I've received today 2 pieces of correspondence from the Citizens for a Better Community. Now, these actually can be acted on officially at the June meeting, but does anyone, and all of you have been here in the past years, does anyone have any objection to me moving forward and authorizing the Citizens for a Better Community to be a participant like in the past for the fireworks display here in the city on July the 1st?
No, I don't.
Okay, because, I'd like to give them as much advance notice as possible, but since it's not on the agenda and it was only received today, you're supporting the ratification of my actions at a later date. Okay? Hold on. I've also received a correspondence from citizen Jesse Storm that also came in today's mail. And some might say, well, why don't you just wait until, what I tried to do is whatever I have at the time of the meeting in share with council to avoid holding it for another month. Basically, the letter that I have received from Mr. Storm is expressing a desire to be considered for a position on the city of Shamokin's RDA board. Since it was received today, Mr. Griffin, is it okay to, because at the mayor's request yesterday or the day before, he asked me to put the subject on the city's agenda for this evening under boards and committees. It specifically says under number 3, request a motion by Mayor Ulrich, which basically, if you look at our guidelines under the RDA, this is an appointment by the mayor, the sitting mayor, by himself without any need for council's involvement. So with that said, I believe it would be okay to get to that part of the meeting and proceed?
Yes.
Okay. And if you're asking what am I referring to, you all have a copy of the same book that I have that is composed of information under the third-class city code. Let me just make sure that I don't have any other correspondence. That's all the correspondence I have, Mayor, that I received since our meeting the other day, so.
All right, any citizens' comments contingent upon business listed on the agenda? May I receive a motion to accept the minutes of the city of Shamokin?
Mayor,
Yeah.
just real quick, there was a piece of paper that looking for suggestions for your CDBG. I was hoping I could bring that up, take a minute.
Wait, no, we're having a hearing in regards to that program at the conclusion of this meeting, which is being held by CEDACOG.
Right, isn't that the money?
At the end, yeah, at the end of.
At the end of this meeting, that will take place.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, can I have a motion to accept the minutes of the city of Shamokin council meeting on April 10th, 2023, regular council meeting?
So.
Second.
Anything on the question?
Councilman Milbrand,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lashinsky.
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Annis,
Yes.
Mayor Ulrich,
Yes.
motion carries, passed unanimously.
Okay, motion to accept the minutes of the city of Shamokin council meeting on April 24th, 2023, special council meeting.
So,
So, go ahead. Second.
Oh, anything on the question?
Sorry. Councilman Milbrand,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lashinsky.
yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Annis.
Yes.
Mayor Ulrich,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve the bills from April 2023 as listed on the bill list.
Second.
Okay, first and second, anything on the question?
Councilman Milbrand,
Yes.
Councilwoman Lashinsky.
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Annis,
Yes.
Mayor Ulrich,
Yes.
motion carries unanimously.
Directors' reports, accounts and finance.
Thank you, Mayor. I have the treasurer's report for the month of April 2023. Total general fund balance, $669,752.80. Total liquid fuels balance, $33,052.24. Total library balance, $147,054.34. Total sinking fund number one debt service, $250,662.80. Total sinking fund number two recreation balance, $336,941.81. Total street lighting balance, $19,230.74. Total American Legion balance, $1,553.30. Total neighborhood mitigation fund balance, $34,196.89. Total code department credit card balance, $5,270. Total police department credit card balance, $3,605.74, for a total balance in all accounts, $1,501,320.66. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Parks and public buildings.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to, give a shout out to all of the volunteers and the participants in our Earth Day event, or Rosalind King Day, as we've declared it. A lot of volunteers, it was a great event, very productive, and we certainly appreciate it. And also to the Metal Mania event, it's always an important event, and, you know, where do we go with our stuff? Well, Metal Mania has helped us figure that out, so great job on their part as well. I had a meeting with Larry Strasser on Friday at 11 a.m. and he gave me some updates regarding our pool. Our pool will open June 9th. Larry would like to have it open a couple of days before that, but there are personnel, people that work there who are not available because they work for some of the school districts and, you know, it's just not possible. Matt Weller has agreed to certify lifeguards in our lifeguard program. So he's on board again with that. We're okay on our number of lifeguards at this point. It was a little scary there for a while, but we figured it out and, you know, hopefully that's going to go smoothly. Equipment is all okay at this point. I don't know if everybody remembers or anybody remembers, but we did get a new diving board last year and, you know, Larry has been busy making sure all the equipment is solid. I also met with Kevin Richardson at the Second Street Playground to confirm placement and just some things that he wanted to tell me about, you know, the new equipment that's arriving there. And one other thing, you're aware of this, I'm sure. Larry also told me the boiler at City Hall was inspected and passed inspection, so we're all happy about that. But I want to thank everybody who was involved in the last few weeks in many of the events that have been going on around the city. We so appreciate it, and thank you. That's it. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Public safety.
I'm there. From the, from the Bureau of Fire, we had, for the month of April, we had 11 service calls, 12 fire calls, 3 fire alarms, 3 hazardous conditions calls, 6 rescue calls, 4 special incidents, and 1 severe weather call. For total calls for the month of April of 40. We had 2 working fires, 9 mutual aid calls, and 3 calls that we received from mutual aid. We did 19 calls for the area ambulance for medical assist, and we had 8 calls to the Harold Thomas high-rise for automatic fire alarms. Understand that at the Harold Thomas high-rise, the housing authority, and I've got to look into this, and this is hearsay, and when I was fire chief, I heard the saying that housing authority collects a fee for every time there's an automatic fire alarm because of somebody having an accident, such as burning toast. I don't know if this is true or not, but I will look into it, and I think that because the fire department's called out all these times for the automatic fire alarms to these places, I think if he is collecting a fee, we should be entitled to at least a portion of that fee. And I'll look into it. From the code office side, we had a good month with collections. We collected $4,595 in rental revenue. We collected $2,101.80 worth of parking permit fees and other permits of various dumpster, peddler, market street stalls, zoning of $4,282.50 for the total collections of the code office of $10,979.59. But an add-on, we collected an additional $5,000 because Lincoln Towers paid $5,000 for their landlord tenant fee. It wasn't marked as such, it was marked as snow removal and deposited, and it's since been corrected and put to the right line item
That's correct.
in the clerk book. So the total collected by the code office for the month of April was actually $15,979.59. They had 84 complaints addressed, 62 notices of violation sent, 35 written citations, 8 landlord inspections completed, 1 property posted unfit, and they assisted in 4 fire calls, plus 13 warnings were given out for the month of April. So, once again, good job, code office. Good job, fire department. And thank you very much. That's all I have, Nick.
Right. Streets and public improvements.
I just wanna commend my guys on everything that's been going on in the city. Lincoln Street, Market Street, these guys have been out all month doing the work. And the only other thing is the street sweeper schedule is posted. Please know when. A lot of tickets are going out, a lot. Please move your vehicles.
Mr. Controller.
Madam Council, just a quick update. As of last Friday, 3 days ago, I have now been given access to our internet banking program. I signed all the necessary papers at the bank. So I now have access to the accounts that are necessary for me to perform my duties. Also, once again, this magic name, Larry Strasser, has been able to populate QuickBooks with all the accounts that I need, that are necessary also. So I have just one more task to complete, and that will be to have the 2023 payrolls downloaded, and from that point, I'll be able to move forward. So hopefully this is the last time I have to bring this up to council, but
All right,
just to keep you apprised.
thank you. Right, our treasurer isn't here. See that.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Bob, right in your stack, I have the, updates. They got stuck right at your place and they didn't make it any further. I think it's got more towards the mayor. But regardless, I don't have that many updates for tonight. We have probably around $5 million worth of grants that we applied for that we're waiting on. Yes, they both happened yet. So, that's all I have, and then there's action for, CEDACOG for FEMA, so that's all.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yep.
Now, before we go on to the chief, I just want to explain to those that are in the audience that are here for the CEDACOG hearing in regards to the city CDBG. That meeting, at the conclusion of this, that will be started immediately afterwards. We're not gonna have any recess and people congregating, just if you're staying for that part, just remain seated, please. And we'll start with that once the meeting has concluded.
Chief of Police.
Sure. For the month of April, 2 juvenile petitions, 24 criminal complaints, 3 non-traffic citations, 11 traffic citations, 6 traffic warnings, 35 parking tickets, 310 parking citations, 270 sweeper tickets, 20 code tickets. Total calls were 1,392. Miles patrolled 3,408. And also, as Councilman Lashitsky mentioned, the schedule is out for street sweeper. It is out. The officers have been noticing a lot of vehicles that haven't been moving, I guess just until people get back into the ring of things here. But the sweeper is running and we are ticketing for the sweeper violations.
Tonight's a sleeper night.
Yes.
Can I do that?
Or just wait until we do this whole thing, you can just.
I'll do it. All right, real quick on my end, I've been working with Michelle on letters for the House of Representatives, Senate, Lieutenant Governor and Governor in regard to Act 47, along with the ordinance or resolution that we all signed. I'm happy to say it was completed today and will be going out in the mail tomorrow, so hopefully we'll get some good feedback. All right, now at this time, we'll go to new business. Can I get a motion for items 1 through 5? Or should I do 7? Oh, 1 through 7, I'm sorry. Huh? Yeah, you're separate.
Number 7.
Section 5.
Yeah,
No, you can
We'll do
do it 1 through 7, complete, and then we'll do the last one separate. And the mayor will acknowledge the elevation of 2 patrolmen to the rank of corporal, and also acknowledge the hiring of on the recommendation of the chief of police.
I'll make the motion for the items 1 through 7 as listed on the agenda.
thank you.
I'll second.
Anything on the question?
Councilman Milbrand,
Yes.
Councilwoman Krasinski,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Anderson,
Yes.
Mayor Ulrich.
Yes.
The motion carries, it is passed unanimously.
Okay, I have a request, the motion to approve resolution 23.
What was that? Resolution above. Hold on a minute.
It's a building grant.
Sorry, it's 04.
Okay. Motion to approve resolution 23-04, 2023 Lats bus to pay Shamokin Sheriff $2,000 and $2,042.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, do we have anything on the question?
Councilwoman, or Councilman Milbrand,
Abstain.
that's good, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Lashinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ennis,
Yes.
Mayor Ulrich.
Yes.
You have 4 days, 1 abstention.
Okay. All right, what we're gonna do at this time is, I would like officers Tyler Bischoff and Wesley Fleming to come forward. And if you'd like your family to come up with you, they may. And you must bring the youngest Fleming up.
Larry Ziklinski,
You're back.
you want to take a photo with him?
Once he gets set up, yeah.
Okay, they're going to do that.
Yeah, they're gonna make it.
How are you?
What?
Ray, go first.
Well, if I go first, it's just the vomiting.
Right side.
We ready?
Gives me great honor. Ray, please have my seat pen.
Yep.
And that's all right.
Lexi West smile. Perfect.
Right, certainly. It's like to do.
Yeah, the two officers, the chief and yourself, and then we're gonna take group of everyone.
You want
So now we
to-
can go over there. If you want it's like musical chairs.
Rick, sit there like Santa Claus.
Got that.
Yeah, right. Done right here in Graves.
Congratulations, guys.
We just want to take a picture now.
Yours is black, though, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, real quick, if I can, thank you to council, mayor. This is a big step forward, and I truly appreciate it. So, thank you.
Okay, is there any unfinished business? Okay, under boards and committees, I request a motion to reappoint Pamela Rose to the Shamokin Cole Township Library Board of Trustees for an additional 3 years effective May 1st, 2023.
Okay, I'll do the same.
You doing them one at a time? Yes. Okay. Okay, who made the motion? No, Barbara.
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 Yeah, and then Bill.
Councilman Milbrand,
Yes.
Councilwoman Waschinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ennis,
Yes.
and Mayor Bowler.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, request a motion to accept the resignation of Cameron Jacoby from the RDA board effective May 1st.
Second.
Councilman Milbrand,
Yes.
Councilwoman Waschinsky.
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
Councilwoman Ennis,
Yes.
and Mayor Ulrich.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. On number 3, Mayor Ulrich is, by his authority as mayor, making 2 appointments to the Shamokin Redevelopment Authority Board. Those residents are, you can do these together.
Hold on one second. One of those have to be effective after, yeah,
Her time's up.
well, no, but the other one was,
May first, it was May first.
oh, it was May first, okay.
Okay, that's both
I thought it's-
will be effective then immediately, sir.
Yes,
Okay. They are Lenza Williams and
You should do this separately.
now we're doing this
You don't have-
number 3
Oh.
together. They are both appointments by the mayor for her,
So you don't need a vote by council?
no.
Oh, okay.
no. Okay, this is the mayor's action alone.
if somebody wants to vote on them alone, we can, just,
Do we have to vote on these though?
you should approve them, yes.
Okay.
But hypothetically, if some person didn't want to vote for one of those,
Hypothetically, I think we should vote on this.
okay,
That was my
Do
concern.
it separate.
okay, yes.
Do it separate, just to avoid.
Because if you're not gonna vote no on one,
Okay, well, do it separately to avoid conflict, despite what it says here. No problem. Okay, so with that said, I just said,
So the mayor,
motion or second.
the mayor would be making the motion to put Lanza on and then he would be the
That's
second,
correct.
correct?
yes, and then vote on that.
Okay, then we'll do it again.
It's done by motion by the mayor.
So I will second Lanza.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Milbrand,
Yes.
That's
Councilwoman Waschinsky,
Yes.
Councilwoman Moyer,
Yes.
and Councilwoman Ennis,
Yes.
and 5 years.
Yes.
So we're now done with Williams. The next appointment by the mayor is for Jesse Storm.
You're making that motion?
Yes.
Oh, you made-
No, he
Tanya
You made the
seconded.
You
motion.
second,
Oh,
second.
she
Yeah, I'm
seconded.
sorry.
Councilman Bill Brown,
Yes.
excuse me,
You can't hear.
excuse me,
Jerry.
we're having a meeting. If you want to have a meeting of your own, please wait until this is over, okay? But I'm trying to conduct city business. I appreciate your respect in what we're doing. Councilwoman Waschinsky,
Yes,
Councilwoman Moyer,
no,
Councilwoman Annis,
Yes.
Mayor Ulrich,
Yes.
okay? 4 yeas, 1 nay. Mayor, go ahead and move on to the
All
next.
right. It would be solicitor's report, Mr. Greco.
The one item listed on the agenda regarding the social media policy, I'm requesting that we table that just to refine and to review one or two issues on that. We can put that on next month. Just one update, there was a civil action that was filed months ago in federal court against former mayor, members of city council, Mr. Slavy. That was handled through our insurance carrier. They've been successful in having everyone dismissed but one former council member, but the litigation is still ongoing on that. There was another matter of litigation that also was handled by our carrier, and that has effectively been dismissed. So again, these are just updates for everyone. I have nothing further.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll open it for citizens' comment. Okay. Any announcements? Okay, at this time, we'll adjourn this meeting and then we'll turn it over to Linda Sterling.
Thank you, Mayor.
We never did it grass, but then we did before council.
No, they were, I think they were right there.
Yeah.
It passed.
Yes, it's just need to pass this way. And this needs to be passing, and hopefully I pulled it off before.
Okay.
You want me to record it? No problem.
Sure.
Yep, if you don't mind.
No.
Yeah, that's. CDBG activities. And then behind that, you'll notice that there is a notice of fair housing complaint process for the city of Shamokin that I would like to refer you to for your information. There's also a copy of something called an anti-displacement plan. That's a plan that is federally required that says if anyone is displaced by CDBG regulate projects, they must be offered alternative housing in some manner. They can't be made homeless or inconvenienced as far as their living space by CDBG. There's also a Section 3 preference that you can see here. That basically is an indication that the city is willing to work with people who are low to moderate income to create jobs. And finally, Section 504, the notice is attached for that. Section 504 is a requirement that the city take information on handicap accessibility, issues with not being able to access certain places, and that you can report those as well to the city for their action and discussion. Each year, I'm umming a lot. I'm sorry. Each year, the application includes a 3-year plan. The 3-year plan discusses how the city will fulfill obligations to improve infrastructure, public services, and it discusses previously funded projects. The most recent CDBG funds have been used exclusively for 3 years. For first, the demolition of 118, 122 East Independence Street, and then later the creation of the park, illumination station. You also have been reserving, of course, your 30% for slum and blight. Does anyone have any concerns about environmental impacts or historical impacts from the use of CDBG funding? And at this time, I would like to hear any suggestions for CDBG projects. And sir, I believe that you came here hoping to make one?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Approximately 25, 30 years ago, I made a proposal around the council to build a handicap park. It would have been located where eventually the skate park went, which is now defunct. But the reason I had selected that facility site was because it could be controlled by the city pool. The hours of operation would be the same as the city pool. Entrance would be through the city pool and totally controlled so that you don't get vandalism and kids that aren't handicapped going in there destroying it. There's a real need for handicap slides and recreation. Even the ability to provide a ground spray system was something I had looked into so that the kids could go in a wheelchair and cool off. There's all kinds of great things could be done from, there's actually a swing that is like a table, you roll your wheelchair on it, the whole thing springs. It's a wonderful project. There's I don't know if Keystone Opportunity is still around, but they were matching all of our CDBG funding, and at the time, they were willing to look into it. I know there was a handicap playground put in, I believe in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. They got funding from the state. The state has a glut of money right now, so pretty good chance you could get additional funding if you match it a little bit, or even just money. So I really hope you consider looking at something like this. I think it's a prime location to do it. It was a waste as a skate park. Right now, I think it's being used as parking, very underutilized, and would be a wonderful asset to the handicapped people of this town.
That is a wonderful, wonderful idea that unfortunately is not CDBG eligible.
Handicap?
The Community Development Block Grant legislation predates the American with Disabilities Act. And the CDBG requirements for assisting the handicapped can only be handled through something called the removal of architectural barriers. So there needs to be an existing barrier that CDBG funding is used to remove. For instance, you could use CDBG funding if you could figure out a way to do it, to put an elevator here, because handicapped people cannot access the second floor here. That would be an example of removal of architectural barriers. The same thing would be true of any public building. That's the only time CDBG money can be used for general purposes of government in a public building, is if they need to remove architectural barriers and allow for handicap accessibility. So with CDBG funding, you're limited only to the removal of barriers. However, I'm not overly familiar with it, but I know there's DCNR and there's other recreational funding that could be a good avenue to fund that.
Well, could you take the idea, put it in a right ear and move forward?
No, unfortunately, that's not something I could do.
Who handles it? CEDACOG? Who's?
No, CEDACOG is the administrator for the city for the CDBG program. The CDBG program only, well, we have community revitalization that might be able, I don't want to speak for them,
We
but
already have a DCNR grant application out right now. It's a very, very good project. So maybe when we complete this project, it would be up to the council if that's something they want to pursue. But we don't want to apply for two different grants at the same time to the same funding source because we'd be competing against ourselves. So
I've been waiting 25, 30 years, so.
I apologize. You're gonna have to fight that man right there for the bridge. That's what we're working on right now. But it's an excellent idea. I'm not opposed to the idea at all. DCNR is probably the best opportunity for it.
And the Community Development Block Grant Program, the reason the city has decided to use CEDACOG and so many other governments around the state have used consultants is that every year there's more and more requirements to using the money, and it's just become increasingly difficult to use it. So unfortunately, or fortunately for the city, Tanya's focus will be CDBG exclusively because that is the only thing we're hired here to do directly.
Right.
Sure, Jesse.
Under the blight section, is any of those funds available to use to buy homes from tax sale or to buy homes from the public market that are either deemed unsafe, which we have the red X on, or a blight in the community for revitalization? Can you use the money to actually purchase the properties?
You cannot use money to purchase the properties. However, we have done projects with both the city and the Housing Authority of Northumberland County to demolish those properties once they are purchased municipally. Because if a private individual could purchase properties in that way, the funding could eventually be used not for the public good, but for private use. We all know, private use is a wonderful thing, but it's not an eligible CDBG outcome.
Okay. With that being said, if the RDA purchased properties to the redevelopment of those properties for low-income families, could the RDA use any of those funds to redevelop a home once it was purchased by the city instead of tearing it down?
I am not aware of the legalities of an RDA and what it can and can't do. Off the top of my head, I would.
That would be up to the solicitor of the RDA board.
There are typically, I think, there is another, there's the Shamokin,
There's a Shamokin EDA, which is actually an IDA doing business as EDA. And then there's a Shamokin RDA.
there's also the counterpart to Hank, Shamokin Housing
Housing
Authority.
Authority.
The Housing Authority, I know, can do that. They can buy properties and erect low to moderate income housing. I'm familiar with that legislation, but beyond that, I mean, I have no idea if they want to, if they've thought about it, if they would consider it. I just know by law, they're allowed to do that. But that's the only agency I can say for certain I'm aware of that has legality for that.
Okay.
Yes,
Could any of this money go toward, anything that needs to be done at the Legion building? Or, I know the elevator talk has been around for years. I used to play there as a kid. My father was disabled, could never get up. Any of my games, which made me leave and go to the CYO league. And it was mainly because of that. So, I mean, for like generations of kids, not being able to have, grandparents, I think if there was an elevator in there, it would drive up attendance at the SYBL, create more money for them, more interest in the league. Last thing I'll be honest, I don't know, re-rolling, I don't want to ever see like the league leave Shamokin and go to like a possible nearby facility because which I'm talking about the new center that's gonna open. I support it, I think it's wonderful, I'm not talking against it. I don't ever wanna see like Shamokin youth basketball leave.
Shamokin.
City of Shamokin, yeah.
absolutely.
So that's why could it be, money put in toward the elevator? Can it be used toward whatever is wrong with the building for repairs? It's a building used by a lot of people, between the library, the Legion. I don't know if the training center is still on the second floor, but you have history in that whole building. And it's like a landmark in the city, and if it can be fixed, repaired, restored, whatever, I'd like to see it done.
There's been conversations already, I know, with Aaron Crawford, who was the previous CDBG administrator here. I know there was a discussion about the possibility of a CDBG competitive, so the short answer is yes. You could put some community development block grant funding from the city's allocation if the city chose to use it that way, but it would be a drop in the bucket because the city's entire allocation is $307,000. You take 30% for, I'm sorry? Blight, for blight, 15% for admin, and you're down to about $267,000, and then any other things that the city needs to use the funding on. However, it could be used in that manner. It could be used to close a gap.
Could ARPA funds be used for something like that? Or do we ever get an estimate on what an elevator would cost to go to the Legion?
I believe Betsy's been working on that more.
Yeah, we have prices for everything. The building needs quite a bit, and that's one of the things that we've addressed too. And all options are open, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly council would entertain it.
I just don't wanna lose something that
Yeah.
involves the youth of the community.
Agreed.
There's so much here with kids with drugs and people getting in trouble, and I just don't wanna see anything that youth go out the door and not be able to do it.
Can I piggyback off Joe there?
Sure.
Was that SYBL? No, what about the fire system? Can it be used for the fire system, which is gonna cost a lot of money, which is our main concern right now? Can't use the building unless we have this.
Okay, you mean for the fire
Fire
system in the building itself?
Yes.
CDBG,
That's $500,000, by the way.
I mean, we're trying to get a stairs there, and here we are.
Yeah.
Can we get the fire?
Just the wire and smoke detectors is quite a bit. I mean, it's just, everything costs so much.
and that's a requirement of insuring the building, which has to be taken care of first. I mean, not that, I know there's people that are very dedicated to making this happen, but it's, not easy and there's a lot of moving pieces, but I don't believe that anyone's giving up any time.
Senior colleague, specifically Betsy, over there, has done a great job in applying. She currently, we have an application in Washington. Hopefully we'll get a positive answer in the very near future. I know some people say, yeah, it's always, we're gonna get an answer, we're gonna get an answer. Her or myself or anybody sitting at this table can go to Washington and just tell them to give us a check and we come back here and perform miracles. She does the best she possibly can. And Mike, in regards to what you're talking about, I have, along with Mrs. Moyer, met with the American Legion people there, okay, and others. And there's a plan for them to get us a report that was requested by the city's third-party inspector so that we can proceed in that chairlift to get upstairs. That is not a dead issue. We just met probably 2 weeks ago with them. The mayor was present. Several people were in there. So there is plenty of life in that subject, Mike. And I seem to recall many years ago when I first came here to Shamokin, I think you were one of them, that said, irregardless if a building is ever built in our neighbor's yard over there, you'll still have a need because you have so many wonderful families and kids involved in the Shamokin youth basketball program.
I will assure you, I am not feeling like I'm going to be quitting SYBL anytime soon, as long as I'm involved. And as long as the city allows us to use that building, there will be SYBL basketball.
It's not like we haven't done anything over the last couple of years.
Unless you guys kick us out because there's no insurance or fire suppression or anything like that, then that's a different thing, but we love the
We
facility.
improved the bathrooms, we made them handicap accessible. Yes, the elevator will cost a fortune, however, thanks to the gentlemen from the American Legion, they have stepped up to the plate. And we are right now just waiting for them to coordinate a plan with the city's third-party inspector. And once they do that, it's gonna be fine, but I can't move ahead because for insurance purposes. So, but that'll be taken care of.
And one of the things with CDBG that's difficult is you can get funding for large projects. It's called competitive funding. And we've CEDACOG's secured quite a few competitive grant funds. And you can get, I think the largest award was $2 million. However, the removal of slum blight or handicap accessibility, which is how the only two ways that the project could qualify, does not rank on the criteria of what is given priority for that sort of funding. Priority is given to people, to communities for projects with water and sewer problems. I mean, there are still places in Pennsylvania that have wildcat sewers that are discharging into creeks, that don't have clean water, that don't have proper municipal sewer and water management. And those are the projects that take priority at this time. Just to give you all the information, I'm sorry it's not what you want to hear.
I gotta run another meeting.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. Any other questions?
Those additional funding the community, those types of things. Full Township has quite a bit of the discharge into the Shamokin Crestmill over in two different areas on the north side of town here. It wouldn't be a Shamokin thing, it would be a Cole Township thing, but is that something to apply for additional funding?
I'm not comfortable talking about another municipality because I'm not familiar with it at all. So, that's something you need to take up with them, I think.
I do believe so.
Okay.
I have one question, if you don't mind.
Of course not.
What is the minimum amount for a CDBG project?
That's an excellent question.
Because we had a problem last time where you had one for 10,000, it just was not economically or efficiently, so they switched it over, but.
Right. With CDBG funding, it's federalized because it's a federal funding source. What that means is that any construction happening with a CDBG grant must use prevailing wage rates and there's certain other requirements with money that generally puts about a 20% increase over the regular cost of not doing it. So whenever you're putting a project through, it's important to factor that in. The project that Betsy's talking about, actually, I had helped bring that to council, and it didn't get funded because there's actually a requirement for it to have a environmental review that I was not aware of, and the environmental review costs $4,000. So it's for small projects. I would say if you're under $100,000, you're really, unless it's demolition. Demolition is a different animal. But you're hard pressed to really have a project that gives you a bang for your buck unless you're about 100,000. These are all great questions. This is exciting. We don't usually get this much discussion. As far as unless somebody has another question.
The only other thing that I thought about is we have the fire department, and I'll be quick. Fire department. Of course, the fire department is always in need or in line of this fire department. I can see where possibly the purchase of a piece of fire equipment would be okay. I know that we can spread that over like 3, you can't do that anymore.
Not anymore. They changed regulation, and now you must, if you're gonna buy a piece of fire equipment, you would need to be able to do it in 2 years of funding.
2 years.
Which is outrageous.
But we could use 2 years of funding with something, with other funding to be together with.
Yeah, because we're actively looking.
And the one thing I know, just quickly, it would not be an eligible or good project for 2023 funding, but you will have 2020 funding left in the line item for Shamokin, the illumination station. And you can, I know there's some additional safety equipment needed there. It's possible that if you wanted to, and the funding was adequate, you could create a new project just to fund the safety of the park. So you can have a second activity related to the park if you want to consider that. I can give you more information on that. Be happy to talk about it. It's something we want to pursue.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could we use that for roads, if our street department?
Oh, the roads, that's
That's what I'm,
because Kevin has been waiting diligently for the park to be done so he can get some
Yeah.
roads done. There's currently 2, Commerce Street and First Street. It's been waiting for a long time.
Yes.
yeah,
And they're in the queue.
yeah, I would,
Yeah, I know he's looking for road work, so I'm not suggesting, I'm just letting you know it would be an option.
So you're done.
I am.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
The hearing concludes.
Sure, yeah, the hearing concludes. Now, the questions I can't be held responsible.